Okay, welcome into module 3. This one, we were talking about how you as a white woman can own your own emotional impact. And the purpose here is to build emotional maturity through your reflection, not through your reaction. Okay, this module is inviting us into the most personal of your spaces, which is your emotional world. I want you to ask yourself, when somebody tells you that your words or your actions cause them harm, what is your first instinct? Do you listen or do you shut down? Do you reflect or do you retreat into tears, silence, or anger? If you see it online, do you immediately start typing something angry like, oh, you hurt me. You don't know all the things that I've been through. Okay. Or do you say, you know what? I hadn't thought about it that way. Thank you for bringing that to me as a point of reflection. Because this emotional world, this is the space where white womanhood often becomes the most dangerous. Okay. This is where the weaponization happens at a high level. Okay. Because the emotional responses that you have can be weaponized. The tears, the fragility, the disbelief. How could you? You hurt my feelings. Why are you attacking me? Have you ever considered what I've gone through? You don't know the first of it. My rights, my body. Who do you think you are? It centers the self and it derails the conversation. Because when people are asking you to take accountability for something that happened, it's not about you in that moment. They are asking you to see them. And what you're doing is forming the conversation back on you and saying, well, what you said doesn't matter. You hurt my feelings. And my mother is a prime example of this. Not only is she, a narcissist, but she is a white woman. And when I tried to mend our relationship before I cut ties with her, I told her, like, listen, here is all of the things that I felt like happened that got us to this point. I mentioned to you at this point in time that, I didn't want to feel this way. And this is over here. This is what happened. And your behavior here really frustrated me. And I tried to bring it to you and I didn't get the response that I needed to feel whole and happy about it. I sent her that list. And I thought about it so much because I was like, she'd asked me, how did we get here? I told her. And then when I told her, she immediately sent me back like a list, her own list of every single one of these scenarios that you sent me in here. This is exactly where you hurt me and why I acted the way that I acted. And I was like, what? What? White womanhood, not to mention she's my mother. When your child, just a quick caveat here, when your child tells you, hey, mom, you hurt my feelings when you said this, you don't get to be like, well, I'm your parent, this, that, and the third. Humble yourself before your child. Stop being so reactive. Reflect. My mother does not have the ability to reflect on the things that caused us to have this rift in our relationship. When a child walks away from a parent, it's usually the parent's fault. Okay? And a lot of white women have an inability to reflect. They immediately feel attacked and they'll be like, well, you called me out for this. I was minding my business. You didn't have to say all that. Why are you getting so defensive, right? Where can you reflect? All right. And so I kind of want to introduce this 3-tiered response model. This way that there's 3 different ways that you can react when somebody tries to hold you accountable for your actions as a white woman. You can either defend and deflect, which is what most emotionally immature white women do. They immediately are like, no, you don't know the first thing about me. Think about the way that you're acting. And they just immediately victimize themselves and call you the oppressor for calling them out. That will not move humanity forward. I don't think that you'd be watching that module if you still behaved like that. But I want you to keep in mind what immediately triggers in your mind when people call you out. Okay. You can also, as a second type of response, you can ask with humility, what did I do? First of all, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that I was behaving this way. What exactly was it that I did? Can you help me understand? Because I'd like to be better. Now, when you ask people this that you've wronged, they don't necessarily owe you a response, okay? I am someone who has time in my schedule and energy to guide white women to being better. Most women of color do not. Okay. So you're not owed a response when you say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can you tell me? Can you help me understand? You're not owed a response when that happens. So if you don't get one, don't take it personally. Okay. But you always can still offer humility and say, how can I be better? How can I move differently? Can you help me understand? Okay. And you can also, as number three, you can just apologize, not for being wrong, but for having an impact even when it was unintentional. You don't realize that the way that you move throughout the world has an impact on every single person around you simply because you exist in this space of white supremacy, if you will. Okay? You're not necessarily wrong for how you're existing, but the way that you move and the way that you behave has an impact on people. Okay? Your own maturity. When you see it all over the internet about white women being Karens and about them calling the police on black people simply existing. And it's like you don't necessarily realize that you have this grip and this power and this hold on people, and that if you were to call the cops on a black person simply out walking existing in their neighborhood, that you could do harm to that person, and that you are exercising and abusing a power that you don't realize that you have, or that you have, and you're being intentional about abusing it anyway. Okay? Emotional immaturity means recognizing that your impact outweighs your intent. Whether you're intentional about hurting people or not, you still have an impact when you move. And it doesn't matter whether you meant it or not. When you speak, when you get defensive, when you act, when you move, it affects people in much bigger ways. It means learning to feel your emotions without using them to control the narrative around you. Okay. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to have emotions. You are not allowed to hide behind those feelings. You are not allowed to weaponize those feelings. You are not allowed to use them to get other people to bend to your will. Practice reflection, practice pausing and asking myself, is this really a big deal, or am I just being crazy, for lack of a better word? Okay. And when in doubt, choose curiosity over certainty. Ask, because there's so many things you don't know. There's so many things that you haven't been privy to because you exist as a white woman in a space that does benefit you. Ask, get curious, reflect. Don't just react. Don't just defend, because most of the people that are asking you to hold yourself accountable have gone through so many things that you will never understand, and they're asking you to make it easier for them. And just as a white woman existing, that is what you owe humanity now, as a way to deconstruct. Okay. All right. Module 4 is going to be about deconstructing from patriarchal partnerships. I'll see you over there.